The world is becoming increasingly proficient at telling stories that deny God. As such, we need Thinking Christian to become as natural as breathing. Welcome to the Thinking Christian podcast. I'm Dr. James Spencer. Through calm, thoughtful, theological discussions, Thinking Christian highlights the ways God is working in the world and questions the underlying social, cultural, and political assumptions that hinder Christians from becoming more like Christ. Now, on to today's episode of Thinking Christian. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Thinking Christian podcast. I'm James Spencer, and I am joined today by Stephen Covert. This is kind of our first time meeting. We had a brief conversation before we started recording, but I ran into Stephen's account on Instagram, and as many of you have heard me talk about on the podcast, I'm an old fitness buff and still like to lift. Stephen is a natural bodybuilder. He runs something called the Iron Therapy Club, which we're going to get into, and he's also a Christian. And so we're going to talk about him and his faith and fitness and probably a number of different other things. So, Stephen, welcome to the podcast, man. It's great to meet you. Great for you to be here, and I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. When you sent me the message, I did some research, and I saw that you had Joel Smallbone. Is that how you say his last name, from For King and Country?
Luke Smallbone. Yeah,
Luke.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And I was honored. I'm honored to even be in that lineup. That's really cool.
Yeah, I've got a guy who sometimes co-hosts with me, Nate, and Nate used to work for K-Love. And he worked with all these different Christian bands. And so I think we're going to have, so we had Luke on, and then I think we're going to have Big Daddy Weave on pretty soon. We've had a number of different Christian artists, and then he did skate ministry for like 20 years or something like that. And so we've had a lot of ex-pro skateboarders and that kind of stuff. But you are our first real fitness guy that we're having on. So
I hope I do the fitness world justice as the real fitness guy.
That's right.
That's sweet. K-Love was always on. So I grew up homeschooled, Christian family. My mom, we had a white Toyota Sienna. K-Love was bumping every time she drove me to my big brother's Latin class every morning. So like the 3 rotation songs every time. I love K-Love.
So where'd you grow up at? Where are you from?
Virginia. Yeah.
Okay.
Right outside Richmond.
Very cool. Yeah. I'm running a men's study with several guys, like 18 guys from Virginia now. So I'm actually in St. Louis, but we do it via Zoom. As a friend of mine I hooked up with, he happens to live in Virginia and asked me to do like teaching on Wednesday mornings. And so, some Virginia connections.
Big Virginia connection. That's awesome.
Well, anyway, man, tell us about your story. Like how, about, how you ended up where you're at right now, but most importantly, how you came to faith in Christ and what that upbringing looked like, aside from the bump in the K-Love.
Bump in the K-Love was a massive part of my testimony. I 4 siblings, or 3, excuse me, I'm the 4th. Christian home, grew up, going through the motions, church every morning. I had great parents, solid foundation. Got into high school, still knew the Lord. Jesus was very, I knew of the Lord, knew Jesus. I knew that there was a God somewhere. My parents told me there was. Knew all the, was memorizing the catechisms as a Presbyterian background. That's what we did. Yeah. Went to college, straight away from the Lord. Did a lot of, I was a big time partier, big time social guy. And it wasn't till sophomore year of college that I just felt this huge emptiness within the partying, within the dating, within the indulgence of college, and just realized the need of the Lord in my life. And that was bled into, I was big into fitness. So I was very much a biggest guy in the room, funniest guy, relied all on these assets. And there was like a time sophomore year that I just felt this emptiness and just asked the Lord to come into my life. And then ever since then, he brought in a wife to replace that partying. He brought fitness back in. He just totally changed my life. And we're on this journey with our therapy club, like you mentioned, which has been a huge part of my testimony, just a conviction around that and fitness.
Well, talk a little bit about the Iron Therapy Club. Because, I mean, fitness can be, and I was in it, like I said, I did personal training for a long time. And what I loved about it, doing the personal training, was that, I got to interact with people. I mean, that was awesome, right? The one-on-one, you actually get to know a lot of people. You get to know people pretty well when you're training them one-on-one. But I started lifting because it was an isolated activity. I didn't like coaches. I didn't want to be on a team. Yeah. And so lifting was sort of a thing you did on your own, right? Occasionally you'd grunt and ask somebody for a spotter, but aside from that, you could pretty much be isolated in the gym.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. When I looked at the Iron Therapy Club website, and it's really an emphasis on community and building that non-isolated sort of presence. So talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of going back to my walk with the Lord, there was a time where obviously the gym is a huge confidence booster. It was like the thing to do after class. That's where I met all my friends. Everything had kind of happened, but there was a time in my life, and this is more of a less casual note, but really addicted to pornography going into college. And I developed a lot of shame with it. And it got so bad that I was just like, man, I need accountability. I need community. This has broken me. It was affecting every way that I look at life. It's affecting every thought. It was creating kind of this OCD in my head. And there was just a bunch of shame. And I didn't feel like I could tell anybody. And as being this very outgoing gym guy, that was really hard for me to be like, oh yeah, we're doing great. Because I had all these people around me, but no intense community, no vulnerability within the community. And I started, did the Christian counseling route, started to uncover the importance of just communicating, just talking about it with Christian brothers, and really unpacking it. And I kind of re-entered the gym scene with this new perspective of, like we had talked about earlier, it's just a huge ministry. There's all these guys, all these young men, all these older men, all these middle-aged men that are all kind of going through the same thing, and we're all working out. And it's how can we leverage the gospel? How can we leverage this spiritual brotherhood? And that's kind of the juxtaposition of iron therapy, because you need more than the iron. And it was just therapy, but it's just the Christian therapy, it's this iron therapy club, but the emphasis is on this community. And it's use the gym. You can be all big and strong, but that's chit chat. How are you doing? Let's go to the gym. We'll go to Waffle House after. We'll get into the weeds. Let's pray over each other. Let's talk about it. And we'll go back to because it's such a constant in my life, especially with my boys, just going to the gym. It's let's turn it into a movement. Let's talk about the hard stuff.
Very cool. So how long has that been going on? How long have you been doing it?
It started right before my first natural bodybuilding competition. I met with one of my buddies, and he was basically talking to me about the business side of things. I had no idea. And I was stressing the concern of, I want to make a product that promotes vulnerability, promotes this accountability, this community. He said, why don't you make a t-shirt? And I was like, I don't know anything about making clothes. I work out. I did media communications. I don't know the first thing about sizing t-shirts or doing anything of the sort. And I was like, all right, we'll start small. So I thought of the funniest thing that I can kind of do that's still cool. I made a t-shirt that said, this is a pump cover on the back, right above the shoulders. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that doesn't necessarily say this is a Christian-oriented, community-driven brand, but if we can get that on people's back and they can make that as a talking point, because for me, it was really important to leverage marketing, leverage media, and tell the exact story of why I'm doing this so that people, once they put it on, they know, my biggest thing is if I wear a brand, I want to know exactly what we stand for. What am I wearing? Every piece of clothes feels the same. The only way I'm going to wear it is if I feel like I'm promoting something that I believe in or that I agree with. So I started making these short reels. I was like, hey, my name is Steven. I built this brand because I had a tough time in my life and I struggle with addiction and shame. And the only way to get through it is through Christian accountability and talking to your brothers and just being vulnerable. So here's a shirt that says, this is a pump cover. We're starting small. We did 50 of them. We sold out. Obviously at that point, it's your mom and your dad and your friends are buying it.
It's writing a book. I totally get that. Yeah.
Exactly. It was my mom was we'll take 2. And I was like, yeah, 48 left. And that was just a fun, it was so interesting because you learn all of the sizing. You got to make it right for, for the gym community. They want something that's oversized. They want something that's thicker. And then we went on to drop number 2, which was last November. And
for some of us, personal finances aren't just personal. They include loved ones, neighbors, the communities we call home, and the causes we hold in our hearts. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than just money. We help you put your plans into motion and faith into action so you can do more for the ones in your heart. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
This brand was growing, my social media was growing, and it happened to all tie into this concept of transparency, storytelling, like vulnerability. What I'm going through happens to relate to most of what all young men my age are also going through. So it was like almost, you started to like, I'm not special at all. Like all of these men my age are probably dealing with the same things. So people kind of latched on to the story, and they were just, we all created this beautiful community. And we're on drop like 2.5, and we keep growing. And I'm just making sure that I slow down, because I'm a very like, I get excited about projects like this. I'm like, oh wow, this is great. I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna do clothes. Like this is gonna be amazing. So I'm trying to pace myself right now, but we're coming on year like 3, and we're just loving it. Just trying to stay grounded.
So how do you cultivate the community within the within the club, the Iron Therapy Club?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bunch of technical ways like Discord and using social media. But the biggest thing for me was just, like I said, expressing exactly what the brand meant to, just putting it out there. And then hundreds of thousands of people related. They bought the shirt, and then they were able, because initially, like I said, the first shirt said this is a pump cover. So the first instance I saw of what was capable, or what the potential was, I was with my buddy. It was like New Year's of 2022. We were in this gym in Lynchburg, Virginia, near Liberty, where I went to school. And someone approached him and said, oh, this is a pump cover. That's funny. Like, because in the gym culture, when you get a pump, that means blood's flowing.
Right.
You got your warm up. Like you're getting blood circulating. You're feeling good. And he was like, oh yeah, it's my buddy's brand. And he was able to translate from that guy asking what this is a pump cover to basically talking about how he met Jesus and how he had the same instances. And this other guy was just like, oh wow, that's really cool. And I was like, wow, this is an excellent talking point. And then I just doubled down, and that community kind of grew from word of mouth, basic marketing, promotions, telling stories, wearing it all the time in all my videos. Yeah, exactly like that.
That's cool, man. Well, I think it's a necessary thing. One of my buddies, his son is really into bodybuilding. Like he wants to get into bodybuilding. And so he and I have had a number of conversations, because his son's talked about doing, TRT or going on steroids. And I'm like, he's like 19, but it's become so normalized on social media at this point. And, I remember seeing the video. It's like, you'll never be liked. You'll never be satisfied in life unless you put on more muscle. And, it's like, it's one of those funny, sort of goofy reels, like whatever. But I think there's an element of truth to it, right? Because that gym culture, it can be, very vain like that. Sort of a lot of guys who are trying to make up for other things in their life by going to the gym and hitting it hard. And so it sounds like the Iron Therapy Club really helped people kind of get past that aspect of it. I mean, and I think your social media account does that really well too. And part of the reason I started following you is you don't see a lot of natural bodybuilders or bodybuilders in general, who talk about this aspect of it and talk about the balance of life that you really have to strike, because natural bodybuilding, bro, I mean, what you do, it's not trivial. You probably know that. But it's a lot of discipline. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to think that I'm a professional at it and that I've been seasoned, but in all fairness, I swam in high school. My brothers were super duper athletic. And there was a point in my life where I was probably like 12 or 13, we were playing video games, loved it. I was just a vegetable. And my brother came in and pulled me out of the playing Halo and said like, hey, we're gonna go push this sled outside in the snow right now. And he's like, just basically came home from college, and he was like in shape. He's like, come out here and let's try this. And after just feeling that camaraderie and just that connection we had from just like getting some discipline, like working hard, I really fell in love with the gym from some would say maybe too early, of like 14 or 15. And then I
Yeah.
worked out. I've been consistently I'm coming up on 25. So we're getting about 10 years.
Okay.
And 2 years ago, I kind of fell back into the cycle of just kind of being lazy, and I got really out of shape. And I was like, man, I don't even know. Like, I had to reset because I felt I knew everything about fitness. But here I was, not very active, not seeing a lot of progress, being very discouraged. And I found my identity just really wrapped up in that, because it was like every workout didn't feel great. I didn't know how to eat right. Or I guess, going into an adult life, my lifestyle just changed. I didn't adapt quick enough. But I just sat there and I was like, man, I really want to I want to develop this physical discipline, translate it into spiritual discipline, translate it into this routine that I need, because obviously I'm not like, you know this. It's like, your physical life kind of slows down. You don't really have the same aspirations. You don't really get involved community wise, church wise. You're just kind of sluggish and you just feel bad for yourself.
Right.
And I called this, I texted this coach that I knew from Pennsylvania, because I'd seen one of his clients on TikTok. And I was like, hey, I have always thought about doing bodybuilding. I've seen it everywhere. I want to do a competition. So he set me on a 16-week prep, is what they would call a competition prep. And I lost 65 pounds, hopped up on stage within the same year. It was from July to the end of July to December. Got on stage in December. Just felt like those past couple months were just defining of my maturity and my discipline. I was up every morning. I felt so good. I felt like I was very just involved in everything. Felt really great. Got engaged, bought a dog. This period was just sharpening.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. I was like, wow, this is I'm taking the precautions. I'm staying disciplined, staying in shape, and I feel overall really, really, really good. Did the show, got second. I think due to when you take a competition in December, people are very smart. They're like, I don't want to do a competition in December. We got Christmas. So I indirectly capitalized on the fact that people don't really show up for these December competitions. And it was exactly what I needed, because I needed that little bit of confidence to do another one. But we got second and got married, went on the honeymoon. And I said to my wife, Betsy, I was like, I really want to do another one. I was up every morning. I was bringing you coffee every morning. I was, reading and journaling. It just felt I just felt overall much healthier. And we did a second show. This was in the middle of summer. So this is when people are prime time doing bodybuilding competitions. We got third. So we went back one. But yeah, and that's been the journey. It's almost like these past 2 years, I would consider myself a natural bodybuilder. And now we're planning on a third. My wife's doing one right now. We've got a whole cabinet full of different proteins and creatines and everything you need. Our fridge is stocked full of 99.1 ground turkey, whatever the thinnest meat you can get. And we've just fell in love with it. And just the one problem is diet sodas. We're hooked on it now, so we're trying to wean off. But It's been incredible. That's the journey as of late.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, 16 weeks though is all it took to get to where you were. I mean, what kind of so I'm asking you these questions because I do believe that the discipline of physical training does relate to other areas of life. Yeah. I've definitely seen that in my life, and I will say I have a home gym now, and I miss going to the gym. I don't miss sharing machines. I don't miss that part, but I definitely miss going to the gym and having that camaraderie, and there is something to it. And but I do think the discipline is really important. And part of what I've found, at least, is that it forces me to structure my schedule. And so what does your day generally look like on that 16-week initial training plan? What were you doing actually?
Man, I was going to say right now it's pretty normal, but that 16 week, I'll give you the day for the last one, because that one was a little bit more tight. Cool. It was wake up around probably 5:45, 6. Thankfully, I lived in an apartment downtown. There was a Stairmaster within walking distance. So I'd roll out of bed. I couldn't have coffee beforehand, because apparently that messes with your heart rate at that moment. You don't want to give yourself any juice. So we went straight to the Stairmaster with only water. And I'll give you an example of the last week. By the last week I was doing, so I'd wake up, do 45 minutes of the Stairmaster on like a 6. So it was like 140 to 150 beats per minute for your heart rate. And during that time, I was like, that repetition, it didn't feel bad at all. Like I was locked in. I felt like I was floating on the Stairmaster. And so I'd usually either bring like my devotional with me, I'd bring a book, or my Bible, of course. And that would be because I could just sit there and stare at it for 45 minutes. Did a lot of praying on that Stairmaster. Got off the Stairmaster, walked right back to the apartment. My wife was like starting to wake up. So I'd make my 40 grams of oatmeal with my 2 scoops of protein in it, stir it up. Then I could have my first cup of coffee. Then we'd have breakfast together. I'd go from my 9 to 5 job, bring my meals with me. We'd have probably like 3 to 4 meals at work, which was all like asparagus, like, this much rice. You put in your little hands for as much rice as I was eating. Turkey, ground beef. Then we'd come home. We'd go to the gym again, or for the first time, to do the strength training, do this high intensity, low reps, couple exercises, working out. Then I would hop back on the Stairmaster, do 25 minutes. Then it was probably like 8 p.m. at that point. So we'd go home. My wife and I would watch something on TV. We go to sleep. We start right back over again.
So not as much lifting as you'd think necessarily.
No.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy, man. And your life, like you said, your schedule now is pretty normal. Like, so do you find it's, a certain amount of time out from a competition, you really have to ramp it up, but then the rest of the time you can just sort of, I don't know, be a little bit more casual about life and not be completely insane. I mean,
absolutely. I think I got the itch. I got the bug of feeling so routine. Like I felt myself almost wanting to go do the cardio, because it's like once I hit that 30 minutes, I was like, man, the day is gonna be so easy. Like I got myself on the Stairmaster. Like nothing's gonna stop me. Like stress level, like the cortisol dropped. We're feeling great. I go sit at the desk all day. It's gonna be amazing. But yeah, absolutely. You really get to that point where it's like, all right, we gotta lock in. But I had good coaches in the past, so they made it a very easy transition. And it was encouraging to me, because when I got in that rut before the first competition, I felt like there was just no way out. It was going to take me 2 years to lose weight, because I didn't even recognize the problem. I just had gained a bunch of weight, and no one told me. I was just getting big, and after I did that competition, I was like, wow, it is really easy to truly flip your routine, clean up a little bit habits here and there. But once you break that 3-week mark of doing the hard stuff, it becomes kind of consistent. And it just almost becomes fun, because it felt like you're just getting a high score. Like, all right, I gotta hit the turkey, then I'll have to go on a walk. And it was really fun. The challenge now is figuring out a way to stay healthy and stay in shape, as if I was going to do another one soon, but not have to cram it next time around for this like 16-week sprint. So that's what I'm learning now, is just how to create a diet that's not uber expensive, because 99 turkey is like an arm and a leg.
Right.
How to create this healthy routine that I can really enjoy, and also feel productive in the gym, and also enjoy that. Feeling like I feel very mentally sharp when I'm in good physical shape. I just feel like, oh, this is like the workouts feel more productive because I can see the result a little bit better, and I feel more healthy and light on my feet, I guess is the way to say it.
Yeah, and so there's like a baseline you want to kind of hit and maintain.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to shows, you don't have to be like oppressive about everything. It just, it sort of gradually ramps itself up, and then it can gradually ramp itself down a little bit, is kind of what you're trying to hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially summer's coming around, trying to just lean up a little bit and stay prepared in case there was another competition on the horizon.
I was going to say, do you have one coming up that you know of, or no? Are they pretty regional, man? Or do you fly all over to do them? Like, what does that look like?
They're the furthest we've gone was Maryland. So that was like a 5-hour drive. There's none on the horizon. I've had just a rare opportunity of stepping back, because my wife, like I said, is going to do one. So it's given me an opportunity to see the other side of it and support her from afar, as she did for my 99 turkey runs all the time. So I get to kind of sit back and know exactly what she's going through to support her in that. And I don't think she enjoyed it as much as I will. She probably won't ever do another one, but she just wanted to like also get that, that prove it to herself that she could do it as well.
Cool.
But nothing on the horizon right now, but I'm definitely feeling the itch. Excited to do it
Yeah.
again soon.
Very cool. Well, how do
But
you
did
see
you?
it? Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I
No,
was just going to
please.
ask you. You're a jacked man. You went to didn't you do you have a professional education in this stuff, right?
So yeah, I did. So I did my BS in exercise physiology was my major.
Hmm.
And so like you, I started lifting when I was 14, and
Yeah.
I never quit. So I'm 40, am I 45 now, 45 or 46, one of the two. I can never remember. It's
Either way,
it's
25,
old, you
27.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. So but yeah, I mean, I've spent the lifetime in the gym, and I've just loved lifting. And so
Yeah.
I never got into bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding. When I was coming up, I don't even remember it being a thing. Like
Yeah.
you either had professional bodybuilding, which I felt like was probably out of reach for me, right?
No,
You
no.
know, and then you didn't have much else. And so yeah, I went into personal training and did it for a really long time. And it was I think I first 5 years of like kind of into college and then through my master of divinity, I was a personal trainer. And so I was doing 40 hours a week with folks. Trained a couple athletes, but most of them were just like people who wanted to lose a little weight, were, having trouble doing whatever. But I will say, I mean, the best thing the part that I loved about the job was just getting to know people.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was going through my master of divinity at the time. And so it was all just like evangelism for me, right? I
Mhm.
could share Christ with all my clients and they knew what I was doing. And so I was married at the time, and that was odd for them. They didn't, they weren't married at that time,
Right.
So I think I got married when I was 21. And so I was just an oddity all over the place for them. I
Yeah.
was this,
I totally understand. Yeah.
yeah, strange personal trainer who was married and loved Jesus. And so,
Yeah.
but it worked out. And yeah, now, so I keep doing it. But I've sort of had to learn to train smarter, I guess. I
Hmm.
don't do the real heavy stuff anymore. I'm doing more like, I feel like I'm doing old man tricks like cambered bar presses and, stuff like that with less weight. So my joints don't die. And
Absolutely. I've definitely noticed. I mean, obviously, I'm not. I think. Have you noticed any? Obviously, both started working out at 15. Do you feel like anything's caught up to you? Is there something I need to be proactive about? Everyone
well,
tells me that it could have stunted my growth, so maybe I could have been like 6'4" in another life.
yeah. Uh, I think that, I think my mistakes were, pushing too heavy too fast. And so I had
Yeah.
like some impingement syndrome in high school. I had shoulder problems and those kind of things, but
Mm.
those have largely resolved. Now, as long as I'm just smarter about what I do, I'm getting really good workouts. I'm having a lot of fun in the gym. And I think that's something that has come about probably in the last. So I was like you, I ballooned up to about 250 and ended
Hmm.
up having to lose 50 pounds. And
Yeah.
then, I've sort of started putting that back on in good ways, as
Right.
opposed to in
Absolutely.
looking, semi-pregnant. Um, and so, I'm just, yeah, I think over the last few years, I've really started to enjoy it again. Before I think it was just, it was getting to be a grind and I was getting tired and life stuff was kind of coming in at me and I just didn't have the appropriate discipline. I think I was still riding on this idea that it's like, you love it, you do it, everything will fall into
Mhm.
place. And I think as I've gotten older and busier and kids and, all that kind of good stuff, it creates a different cadence to life that you really have to pay attention to. And so yeah, I'm starting to enjoy it again now. And it's one of those things that I usually end up having conversations with people about at church or just in my whatever other social interactions, because there's so many people who are struggling with it, right?
Mhm.
It's odd. And I mean, you're in much better shape. You do this at a different level than I do, but it's odd to find people who are relatively in shape.
Mhm.
And also I think particularly in the church, but obviously out in the world too, it's just not something that most people have been disciplined to do. They don't have the sort of habit, I suppose, of doing it. So I don't know whether you find that as well, but that's been my experience with it, is that a lot of people would just like and probably really benefit from some sort of physical activity, not necessarily hitting the weights.
Yeah.
But they just don't have I don't know whether it's just they don't have the motivation to get into it. They don't want to do something wrong. They don't want to, there's probably a whole host of reasons.
Yeah. And I think there's two sides of the coin in terms of fitness has become super duper popular.
Yeah.
With the rise of TikTok and Instagram. I think there's a whole bunch of people, like way more than before. And I say way before as in like in 2015, like it wasn't nearly as popular when I started. And now I see a lot of young men, young guys, young women as well, just starting to work out a ton and seeking answers. And like you said, it's, a lot of people in the church, there's a lot of people that need, like it's, it's a pretty intense thing. It could be a way of life. They want to get it right, but there's a lot of new faces in the gym.
Yeah. Well, and I think it in some ways, the social media aspect, and again, this is why I appreciated your account so much. I think there's a way for social media fitness folks to accidentally, I'll say, create obstacles to fitness, right? Yeah. Because on some level, I mean, I've been doing it for a really long time, and I'll look at some people's profiles and I'll be like, I understand what it takes to get there. And I also know that I don't have that kind of time. I don't have that kind of discipline anymore. I don't, or I just have, enough other things that I'm doing that it's just not realistic for me. But I can be somewhere in the middle, right? And I can be fit but not be shredded. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think you actually address that a fair amount, especially now that you're married. And it's like, how do you balance all these different things that you're doing with the natural bodybuilding? It's a really, I think, helpful way to think about it.
Yeah. And I think, what am I going to say? Especially like social media, there's the comparison game. I think I was lucky and blessed enough to start at a time when there was like three big heroes in fitness. There's like the three YouTube people that I would watch, and maybe it was just because it was long form and I had more of a peering into exactly actually what they looked like. But I was conscious of knowing, okay, these people, I'll never look like these guys. Like these are I don't think I understood what steroids were when I was like 15 or 16, but I was like, oh, these guys are massive. Like what a cool way to like I'd go into the gym and feel like I was looking like them. And I was thankful because looking back at it, I never had this, I mean, I'm sure at one point, but I couldn't remember. Not really an unhealthy obsession. It was more like, oh, these guys are like, this is huge. Like I want to look like Chris Hemsworth or whatever at the time, or whoever was doing YouTube stuff. And now I think short form content, and there's so many of these heroes in fitness. Like every time I open my feed, there's someone who looks like he'd be the man. Like in 2015, if you were walking around looking like that, you'd be every supplement brand would be calling your name, but he's just like some guy at the local Golds. So I could definitely see how like it just creates anxiety. Like if I was 15 starting now, I don't know what I would do. There's a lot of, especially with steroids, it's almost like trendy because people will say like, oh, look at my TRT results, or like 2 weeks on trend. Like, what is going on? Why are you posting this?
Right.
Why are you saying this online?
Yeah, it's so strange to see that movement of it. I think, I grew up pre-internet days, so I was looking at muscle and fitness magazines when I was working out and, just getting the workouts out of there, right? And I mean, even back then, it's like these guys are doing 2-a-days. I got to go to the gym in the morning and the afternoons, like, I mean, they're.
For some of us, personal finances aren't just personal. They include loved ones, neighbors, the communities we call home, and the causes we hold in our hearts. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than just money. We help you put your plans into motion and faith into action so you can do more for the ones in your heart. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
They work out like crazy town, but there wasn't that talk of, oh, a lot of this is steroid fueled, or a portion of it is steroid fueled. Now it seems like you can turn it on, and even the legitimate guys who like know things, right? They're sitting there like, yeah, well, steroids, yeah, there's side effects, but, and I'm like, I never heard that growing up. Like, steroids have side effects, but that was not the way it was framed.
Yeah.
Right.
Steroids are great, period.
Right. It's just kind of crazy. So I don't love that part of where fitness has gone. But I will say, I think a lot of what I see does make fitness more accessible, especially at home, which I think is great. But I do, when I look at, social media or whatever, I wonder, are people really intimidated to go to the gym? Which I never was when I was a kid. Like, I was kind of like with you. It's just like, yeah, you just go to the gym, and if you're the biggest guy in the room, you're the biggest guy. If you're not, no big deal. Now it feels like it's sort of a show.
Yeah. There's this beautiful thing that comes out of so much access. We have, like, I know this guy, he's one of my good buddies. His name is JPG Coaching. Like, he's got this massive platform of instructional, educational stuff. So he's
Nice.
All this social media pays off because people can go to him if they really want it. Like, it's like, let me see what he has to say. Then he's very knowledgeable. And then there's the other side, like we were talking about, like the SARMs steroid monsters. But I think it creates this really cool avenue of those people consuming both sides are going to come to the gym. And it's like, if we're there and we're, if you're ready, like, if you can help, if you can be available, if you can have a conversation that makes a bigger impact than whatever they're seeing on social media. So I try to be very, like, I still don't consider myself this big guy, but my best piece of advice whenever there's like a young man, I was like, dude, first of all, he asked, like, how to get big. That's like the biggest question. How do I get big? I say, well, I don't know, but the best thing I can say is, never turn down mom's chili when she offers it to you. And just show up with a buddy, like, every day, like, get someone to keep you accountable and bring you in. Cause like you said, discipline. I mean, at a young age, you got a lot of motivation. It's really, really fun. But it's like, you're going to skip it. Like, you're not going to see the need. And that was my biggest thing, was I had a neighbor who could drive when I couldn't drive. And he was like, let's go. So he'd pick me up, we'd go. And then other times he wouldn't show up. So I'd get, like, mom would drive me. But my mom was really good about just, like, dumping chili. We had chili and, like, white chicken chili every night. So I was just eating it all. And it's insane. It's like, it's a cool, the culture is always ever changing. I'm curious to see, like, where it goes next. If people just implode from all the information. But I definitely do think it's a show. I think it almost seems like people are less inclined to, like, talk in the gym now. People are, like, locked in. I'm guilty of this. Like, I'll have a pretty tumultuous day. I'm not going to be, like, walking in, greeting everybody. But I don't know. It's like, and that's kind of like the thing with iron therapy. It's like, let's just, you need a spot. Let me take that conversation further. Like, let's get to know each other. Because that's what makes it fun for me, is going into the gym, seeing familiar faces, and just like, all right, let's get into it again. Like, let's go to practice. These are my teammates. It's a different culture. And that's crazy. I haven't even thought of the muscle and fitness stuff. Like, that was kind of at the end. Like, I'd go to GNC, and there was like Jay Cutler. Or obviously Arnold, or whoever was big. And I was like, oh, those guys are too big. Like, I'm going to go look at my YouTube heroes. That's insane. Yeah. There's so many heroes now. There's a lot of people on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't even have the option. I mean, it was muscle and fitness or nothing. And so, when I was looking to, like, program my workouts, that was pretty much it. And I mean, those guys were doing, you think about the volume they do. I mean, and that's how I kind of started out. I'm like, I have to do all this. And so I'd be at the gym, a couple hours a night, and it's like killing myself. And now I'm, in and out in, 40 minutes. And it's like, this is great. This is awesome. I love this. But back in the day, I mean, Dorian Yates's leg routine, and you're just looking at the amount of, weight that guy's pushing. You're just like, holy smokes, how does this even work?
I think it's so beautiful because, I don't know, that was so out of reach, but you tried your very best. And it's almost beautiful that they didn't say they're on steroids, because it's like, we probably get discouraged. Right. You probably would have been like, no, I'll never get there. But you're like, it's attainable.
Yeah, they're doing it. Why couldn't I do it?
That's so
I'm missing some chemical substances.
And then I loved those, like growing up, the 2 hour long workouts that were definitely too long, but we
Yep.
just had fun. Like the people at local
Yeah.
YMCA, we would all just take a long time not working out and just hit the
Right.
sets and come back
There's
the
a lot
next
of
day.
rest between sets. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's so interesting because it was the same way for me. Like I would download, there was a lot more access, so I could like pick and choose from different people's workouts. But it
Yeah.
was like, it was like 5 sets of 15, and then
Right.
make sure you buy the protein that I use. I was like, oh, okay, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just like, it made me be resourceful because then instead of buying their expensive thing, I went to Walmart, learned about what is it called, like 1 Star Nutrition or whatever Walmart has. And I was like, oh, I'll buy this. Like this is close. And that's where all the knowledge came from. Was just like trial and error.
It's pretty sweet, man. And let me try to kind of pivot our conversation a little bit because I'm
Yeah,
interested to hear your thoughts on, like, some of the disciplines, you even just telling the stories, like having somebody with you and the guy who picked you up and took you to the gym, that just general advice you'd give to somebody if you want to, if they want to get bigger, what do you do? Well, it's consistency, and
yeah,
it's so much of it. I mean, yeah, you want to get your form right. Yes, there's some optimization you need to do there, but so much of it is just about getting there and doing it,
yeah,
right? And you'll kind of learn as you go. But if you're not consistent, it'll never happen, right?
yeah,
It's, you can't say I'm on a 5-day a week program and only make it 2 days a week, right?
yeah.
No, you're on a 2-day a week
Absolutely.
program. You wish you were on a 5-day week. You're like it's that consistency. And so how do you see some of those principles sort of carrying over into your spiritual life? Like where
Yeah,
do you see some of this discipline really starting to inform your spiritual growth in Christ?
yeah, absolutely. Um, it really came into play with the past bodybuilding shows. Like I said, getting up.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like seeing an end goal as opposed to like, okay, if this is what I want to do to win this bodybuilding show, I'm gonna have to get up, I'm gonna have to get on that Stairmaster, and I'm gonna have to put the steps in. And then once it's done, it's like that first part's the hardest. So just getting there, sitting down, getting it done. And that's translated, like you said, as you get older, time slips away from you. You wake up late, you've got to run to work or you'll get fired. So you've got to get going. So it's like
Right.
being mature enough, having the discipline to, in the same way, getting on the Stairmaster, sitting down at my kitchen table and spending time in the Word. There's going to be days where I'm not necessarily like motivated to do it or excited to do it, but if I want to grow in both, in the same physical aspect, the spiritual aspect, like I need to sit down, I need to spend time in the Word, I need to get to know the Lord. And if I slip up and that guy doesn't take me to the gym or I don't get a ride, like I need to go to those guys and be like, hey, this morning I slacked off. Make sure tomorrow someone gives me a ride to my metaphorical gym. Like,
Yeah.
please keep me accountable. And obviously, being married, there's a heightened sense of like, I got to lead my wife. I need to set an example. I need to sit my butt in that chair at 6 a.m. And I have to. Obviously, I don't do that every day. And I'm not perfect at it, but that's been the way of translating. It's like, you got to show up to the gym. I've got to show up to this. You got to show up to you got to show up to the Bible. I got to read, I got to pray. I've got to do all these things that will push me to become a spiritually disciplined man. It's just I've been reading this. Have you read Disciplines of a Godly Man? Or, yeah, I think it's by R. Kent Hughes, Spiritual
Sure.
Disciplines of a
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible, incredible. And he
Yeah.
talks about, which is really encouraging to me, he talked about, obviously, I think it's in Timothy where Paul says, train to be godly. And
Mhm.
his point, he basically said back in the day, these people would strip down, they would train hard for whatever Olympic thing they were doing, but
Yeah.
they'd sweat, they'd get it done. And the author of the book was pretty much like, we got to have some spiritual sweat. Like we got to
Yeah.
sit there, we got to grind it out. If we're going to go train hard, obviously it doesn't have to be this session, but like let's go put in the reps. And that
Yeah.
was really convicting to me because we all have the same, he basically put it, we all have the same spiritual genetics. Like we're all sinners. We've all fallen short. If we want to get big in the gym, it's going to take reps. If we want to become spiritually mature, it's going to take reps. So that's been the way
Yeah.
it's been translating.
That's cool, man.
The
I'm
spiritual
usually,
sweat is what he calls it.
yeah, I like that. I like spiritual sweat. I usually tell people it's like, whenever I was personal training, I can't remember a time when I had a client come in and I told them, hey, today, all you're going to do is just sit in a chair next to the wall and watch me work out. That's your workout for the day.
Mm.
Like their effort is required if they want to see results for themselves. Like, we can't make this into a spectator sport, because that's not what it is. The effort, the discipline, the sweat, it's not like it's no pain, no gain, but there has to be some effort put in on our side in order to see the results for ourselves. Like, otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah. And it was so convicting to me, because I would go through these 16-week sprints of flawless execution. Like every morning I was on that Stairmaster, and I was like, I was deathly afraid of not winning this competition. But then this day would get away from me, and I'd be like, man, I didn't sit down and spend any time with the Lord or do any reading. I was like, where are my priorities at? And it was like super convicting, because it's like, if the Lord has taught me these disciplines, and obviously I can do it, and obviously He's given me the mental fortitude to spend 2 hours on the Stairmaster a day, which I couldn't even think of before, obviously these need to translate over to some extent. Like, I need to be that same drive. And that was really convicting to me. Just like, if you're going to get that Stairmaster, you better come home and also spend time in the Word right after, or don't let that day get away from you, because we know you can do it. We know you can get out of bed and do something that you have to get up a little earlier for. So that was exactly, I was just convicted of it.
Well, man, this has been good. I appreciate talking to you, because I think it's just it's, the fitness world is always a fun world, right? There's a sense in which it's serious, but it's also like probably the most fun you can have in life. I mean, I tried CrossFit for a while, and I was like, I don't like this. I just want to go back to lifting weights in the gym. Like, I'm like,
nothing better.
Yeah, I don't want to run around the block. I'll just lift the weights. Thanks. And so I love this world. I love the stuff you're doing, and the Iron Therapy Club, man. It sounds really cool. Where can people find it at? Where do they go to find you?
So if you go to theirontherapyclub.com, that's where we got hoodies and t-shirts, but we're going through, like I said, a nice little rebrand. So it's gonna look cleaner in a few months. Once me and my wife work out the budget of where that logo redesign is going to come from, we'll start on that. And I have Instagram is Iron Therapy Club, and then the personal page is just Stephen.Covert, not Colbert, not to be confused with Stephen Colbert. Covert.
It's a V, not a B. Yeah.
It's like covert operations.
And we'll link to all this stuff in the show notes. But I really appreciate you coming on. I know it was kind of a random message on Instagram, like, hey man, you want to come on the podcast? But this has been awesome. It's been great talking with you, and all the best on Iron Therapy Club and the natural bodybuilding, brother. So really cool.
Thank you so much. And hey, this isn't goodbye. When I come down to Louisiana,
I'm in St. Louis. I'm in St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Yeah,
if you ever come down to Virginia, we'll get some spiritual sweat and physical sweat.
I'd love that. I'd love to get a workout in, man. You can teach me some stuff. No, that's cool. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, man.
Yep. Thanks for being here, and we will catch everybody on the next episode of Thinking Christian.
Just want to take a second to thank the team at Life Audio for their partnership with us on the Thinking Christian podcast. If you go to lifeaudio.com, you'll find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in their network. They've got shows about prayer, Bible study, parenting, and more.
Feeling stressed? Let's take better care of you. I'm Bonnie Gray, the host of Breathe, the Stress Less podcast. Subscribe at lifeaudio.com.